Millions of years ago, during the Quaternary period, the subsidence of strata formed a tectonic trough that was covered with glacial melt and precipitation, and thus Lake Titicaca was formed. Initially, the level of the lake was 60 to 100 meters higher than today's level. Southward from the Vilcanota Knot, at a latitude of about 14 degrees south, the Andes mountain range splits into western and eastern ranges, forming an extensive, relatively flat and high region at elevations between 3,700 and 4,500 meters above mean sea level. These high plains, locally referred to as altiplanos, give rise to the northern, central, and southern high plains, which lie within southern Peru and northern Bolivia. Lake Titicaca occupies the northern high plains. Lake Popo in south-central Bolivia occupies the central high plains, and the salt flats of Coipasa and Uyuni in southernmost Bolivia occupy the southern high plains. Lake Titicaca lies within a semi-endorheic basin of 58,500 square kilometers, with the lake itself occupying a surface of 8,500 square kilometers at the average elevation of 3,810 meters above mean sea level. The lake is not fully endorheic because about 2% of its input is lost to surface runoff through the Desaguadero River at a location close to the lake's southern extremity. The name Desaguadero means de-waterer in Spanish. Lake Titicaca is within 15 degrees 13 minutes and 16 degrees 35 minutes south latitude, and 68 degrees 33 minutes and 70 degrees 2 minutes west longitude. Its length is 179 kilometers, its average width 50 kilometers, and its perimeter 915 kilometers. The total volume of water in the lake is 900 cubic kilometers. The maximum depth of Lake Titicaca is 284 meters. The lake is divided into two parts. One, the greater lake, or Chucuito, and two, the smaller lake, or Viña y Marca, and connected by the Tiquina Strait, which is 800 meters wide and 21 meters deep. The source of Lake Titicaca's water is A, direct precipitation, and B, surface runoff from several tributaries. Direct precipitation accounts for 48% and surface runoff for the remaining 52%. This table lists the contribution of permanent rivers. The average temperature of Lake Titicaca's water is 13 degrees Celsius, varying between 11 degrees in the winter and 15 degrees in the summer. The lowest temperatures occur in July, while the highest temperatures occur between December and March, and typically in February. The water temperature varies within a narrow range, never reaching below freezing temperatures. The lake's large surface area and great depth, resulting in a large volume of water, produces a thermal regulation effect which is vital for the support of local ecosystems. Lake Titicaca's geographic location within the large endorheic altiplano basin makes it behave as if it were a large rain gauge. The lake levels are measured at a metallic gauge in the port of Puno, with the zero level measured at 3,809.09 meters above mean sea level. The record of lake levels measured on a daily basis since 1912, shows the maximum and minimum levels of 3,812.57 meters, April 1986, and 3,806.21 meters, December 1943, respectively, indicating a total variation of 6.36 meters in the period of record. Minimum lake levels occur at the end of the dry season, December, while maximum levels occur at the end of the wet season, April. The average water surface elevation is 3,810 meters, and the average annual fluctuation in lake level is 0.8 meters. Lake Titicaca's inflow consists of direct precipitation and surface runoff. The total annual outflow follows three paths. A. 95% is lost through evaporation. B. 3% percolates into the local aquifers. And C. The remaining 2% leaves the lake through the Desaguadero River near the lake's southern extremity, with the riverbed elevation at 3,804 meters. The Desaguadero River, the lake's only outlet, has a highly variable annual discharge, with an estimated long-term mean of 10 to 12 cubic meters per second. It is noted that there have been periods lasting days, months, or years in which the Desaguadero River has reversed its normal course and flowed instead toward the lake. This has been the case when the lake level was either low or when there had been strong or persistent precipitation in the Cayacame and Maure rivers, which flow into the Desaguadero River near its beginning at the lake's outlet. The climate of Lake Titicaca and environs is cold, semi-arid. Cold due to the lake's high elevation at slightly more than 3,800 meters, and semi-arid because of the pronounced dry season, fall and winter, and wet season, spring and summer. Mean annual precipitation over the terrestrial portion of Lake Titicaca is 736 millimeters, spanning a rainy season typically lasting 4 months. The region's temperature fluctuates between a minimum of -1 degree Celsius and a maximum of 15, with an average of 7. However, directly above the lake, the temperature is a bit warmer, varying between 0 degrees Celsius and 16, with an average of 8. The mean annual relative humidity around the lake varies between 50 and 65%, with somewhat lower values of 50 to 45% occurring toward the south. The annual sunshine duration recorded at Puno is 3,000 hours. Solar radiation averages 515 calories per square centimeter per day, and atmospheric pressure is 646 millibars. The continental location of Lake Titicaca, next to the hot and humid Amazon basin toward the east, the dry coastal Pacific region toward the west, and the frigid weather-driving Antarctic region toward the south, renders the climate of Lake Titicaca extremely varied. This situation imposes high risks for the productivity of dryland agriculture and animal husbandry. Lake Titicaca's drainage through the Desaguadero River is of sufficient quantity to effectively reduce the salinity of the lake to about 1,000 parts per million, or milligrams per liter, which renders the lake a freshwater lake. This table shows the results of several analyses of total dissolved solids, encompassing nearly 80 years of measurements. Lake Titicaca's water is slightly basic, with an average pH equal to 8.5. It has been reported that the lake's population sometimes uses the water directly for drinking. navigation of Lake Titicaca begins with the Uros peoples, who have built the lake's floating islands and lived on them for the past roughly 600 years. To this date, the Uros use crafty reed-woven vessels to navigate the lake for communication and trade. At 3,810 meters elevation above mean sea level, Lake Titicaca is the highest navigable lake in the world. The first contemporary vessels were the Yabari and Yapura steamships, built in England in 1862 by orders of Ramon Castilla, the Peruvian president of the time. The ship components, consisting of 2,766 pieces, each weighing not more than 178 kilograms, that is, what a mule could carry, were transported by sea to the port of Arica, then by rail to the nearby city of Tacna, and finally entirely on the backs of animals a distance of 350 kilometers to the port city of Puno, on the shores of Lake Titicaca. The Yabari and Yapura steamships were launched in 1870 and 1873, respectively. Transport service to Yunguyo in Peru and Copacabana in Bolivia began in earnest in 1872.